We're at TV Line's Comic-Con studio, presented by ZTE, with Wentworth Miller, Prison Break and Legends of Tomorrow. Welcome.
Thank you.
So we're here to talk about Prison Break. You pretty much made this happen.
Me and Dom.
You and Dom.
Yeah, me and Dom and Fox.
Okay, right. But it started with you and Dom, essentially, didn't it? Like, you guys said, we want to do this.
We, Dominic and I hadn't seen each other for 5 years since the original series ended, and then we were reunited on the set of The Flash, playing completely different characters. We'd kept in touch via email, but this was the first time kind of in each other's presence. And we started reminiscing, and out of that conversation came this idea, well, what if there's more story to tell as far as Prison Break? And then we took that idea to Fox, and it turns out they'd been having a similar conversation. And they were doing the 24 reboot and the X-Files reboot, so the timing was right. And within a year and a half, all the pieces came together. It was like magic.
You were never like, oh, but Michael's dead.
The question that's come up in a couple of interviews here at Comic-Con is, why is Prison Break here at Comic-Con? And the answer I've come up with for myself is that we've always kind of been comic book-like. You're meant to take it seriously, and we play all the emotional arcs seriously, but there's a comic book quality to the story, and it allows us to kind of maneuver in a way that, like, Mad Men, for example, would not be able to. Mm-hmm. And so I thought there was a way to bring my character back that would be cool and unexpected and kind of justified given the story we've been telling all along. And
now that you've shot it, and you are confident that audiences will buy into whatever story you sell them on how he survived.
I am. If they don't, then that's on Paul Scheuring.
And what was it like just being reunited with this group again?
Emotional. It was less like a family reunion, more like a high school reunion, you know. It was a very, for me especially, intense time, personally and professionally. The show is kind of what put me on the map, and a lot of things came along with it. So to be reunited with Sarah and Robert and Rockmond, it brought all of that back, and it fed our acting. It fed our scenes together. I didn't have to reach for emotionality. It was there. What
can you say about the Michael-Sarah relationship in these new episodes? Because she's married.
She's married. She's moved on. She's raising our son.
And she gets ripped out of that happy existence back into your world. Is there still a connection there? I mean, clearly she's going to be drawn to you if she's going to leave this world.
There is a connection. That's never gone away. Sarah has moved on with her life to the best of her abilities. Michael, in a way, has not. He's been elsewhere for 7 years, up to various things, but Sarah is still his kind of emotional bullseye. And the reboot, these 9 episodes, it's about his attempt to return home to Sarah and to the son that he's never met. The question is, once he gets there, will she even recognize him? You know, is he still the man that she fell in love with? Because he's been up to some dark things and has walked some shady roads. So my question is, and I think it's an interesting one, it was interesting to play, does Michael deserve a happy ending? Is that justified? Does he deserve that reunion with Sarah that he is craving, and that I think the fans are looking forward to?
Is it fair to say Michael does not die at the end of episode 9? You've learned your lesson there.
Not in the ways that he's died before.
Okay. But are you looking at this potentially becoming an ongoing franchise in much the same way that the X-Files is most likely going to continue to come back every couple years for Fox?
Maybe. I think that the appreciation for this universe and these characters, I think that's there. I think our audience has never really gone away. It feels very present tense, that appetite for the show and for another chapter. But it's about telling a good story well. So if we can't come up with a great hook, a reason to be, then I don't think we should do it, because the whole point of the reboot was to give the fans something else to enjoy, and we all worked really hard to make sure that it was something that could stand alongside what came before.
Well, we were actually just on set of Prison Break, and we were chatting with you and Dominic. How's he doing, by the way? I know he had a little mishap on set.
He's a tank.
Have we had any other stunt mishaps or any other injuries?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, good. How have the stunts been for you the second time around?
Different at 44 than they were at 34. I do what I can, but if I need my character to look cool and like he knows what he's doing and my stunt double can execute that better, then I'm happy to step aside. It's just in service of telling the best story possible.
All about the coolest thing possible.
For that character, yeah.
And congratulations are in order. You just got a really cool overall deal with the CW where your character can kind of pop up in any of Greg Berlanti's shows.
Yeah, it's a sweet deal. It's the most fun I've had as far as a character. I have a lot of respect and love for Michael Scofield, but Captain Cold is a good time. And so the opportunity to kind of pop up, do a little song and dance on The Flash or Legends, and then get out and not have to do like the kind of expositional heavy lifting that Michael Scofield has to do. It's a good time.
Widow,
yeah.
We didn't have the Carrie moment where the hand pops up at the end.
Right.
So
how is what's happening right now? Yeah.
What's going on? The reboot picks up, I think, 7 years later, and Sarah has moved on, my grieving widow. She's raising our child herself. Dominic's character, Lincoln, my brother, he's moved on as well. And then all of a sudden, it turns out that things are not necessarily what they would seem to be, and my character is actually alive in a prison in Yemen. And that's where we pick up.
Was that like the whole, like you got buried so deep that you fell through the earth and you ended up in Yemen? It was just like a very...
My character's capable of many things.
Yeah.
That might be one of them.
So I think one of the things I appreciate about the show is it's absolutely not a comedy at all. But
bear with us.
Bear with us.
Dark humor.
Yes. But it is completely far-fetched in many of its premises, and there's that constant sort of, almost like Looney Tunes cat and mouse between the government and you guys and yourselves and the people you trust and the people you don't trust. The fact that you're in prison, out of prison. How many different times has your character broken out of prison now?
3 or 4 at this point, yeah.
Going on 5.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track.
Yeah.
Assuming the title of the show is not a spoiler.
What is the title of the show?
Prison Break.
I thought you meant the new incarnation. I was like, I haven't heard this news. What's the latest? I've been calling it the reboot.
Yeah, right. There you go.
So one of the big things last time around was sort of towards the end there was that kind of government conspiracy angle, right? Where you couldn't trust the government, which I feel is more true than ever now. I don't know who I'm looking at.
You're like we're at a crossroads.
Yeah.
Let's talk. So is that something that kind of plays a role in this? Have you guys been watching the world collapse over the last 7 years?
7 years is a long time.
It certainly feels topical. We've got Paul Schering writing he wrote the reboot, along with some help. He wrote the pilot and kind of got the whole thing going, and his interest has always been, to me, it feels like very current events, very contemporary, and the reboot kind of is in line with that. It does feel like it's set somewhere out in the world today, and does touch on some contemporary issues, for sure.
Now, one of the big hooks of the first season of the show was your full body of tattoos, which I always felt kind of bad that you would have to sit in makeup for 7 hours a day. It's kind of like what Jim Carrey did for The Mask, that documentary. Do tattoos play a role in this? In the original, they were the map of the prison, sort of hidden in artistry. But
and I got them lasered off.
Yes.
Which took about 30 seconds, 4th season.
See, this is what I love.
It was a deleted scene.
Where you are.
Yes.
There are some comic book elements.
Yes,
for sure.
Which is fine. You don't want an entire season about you getting laser removal surgery.
And I wanted to wear open button shirts.
Yeah,
that's really what it came down to.
This set is very hot. Just please let me do this.
So are tattoos back in some way?
Yes, Michael has a new set of tattoos. They are central to the plot. The difference is I only have to spend 30 minutes in the makeup chair, but they are every day, as opposed to the original, which was once an episode, 2 hours.
Yikes! Yeah. That's a lot of your life. That's like it's a slice. Like you can make a sandwich out of that slice of life.
Yeah, there's that whole thing of the average man spends a year shaving before he dies.
Well, not all of us.
Not you.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering what percentage of your life was actually getting tattoos for that show.
It could have been online, like getting a legal degree. Or
You could have been catching Pokemon in Pokemon Go.
Yeah, like a degree from DeVry University.
So, like, the prisons themselves have always sort of been a character in the show, all the different prisons. What makes this prison in Yemen sort of unique compared to what we've seen before?
I think setting the show in Yemen is a nod to our international fan base. The show has fans all over the world, which we've always been very appreciative of. And giving the story this kind of international, global canvas plays into that. It's a nod, for sure.
Nice. And then in the sort of the 7 years since we've last been with these characters, TV as a medium has just grown a lot. You know, we've had from the rise of networks like FX and AMC and you know, HBO and Netflix and all these things. Like, TV's better now than ever. Is it an exciting time to have a show like this now that I don't know, not to say like TV wasn't taken seriously back in the 90s and the aughts, but like as of now, it's probably the highest regarded medium we have, which I think must be super exciting for you.
Yeah, I think we're seeing the fruits of what Prison Break and Lost and 24 kind of, we laid the groundwork for this, where there was a respect for our audience. Like, we believed that, yes, they could pay attention, they could invest, they could follow complex interwoven storylines over multiple seasons, that there would be a kind of payoff if you tuned in and gave it your time and attention. And we're seeing a lot of that now. I think what will be challenging about the reboot is that, unless I'm wrong, it's going to be one episode per week.
Okay.
Won't be available for downloading. You can't consume all 9 episodes at once. So that might require some patience.
Yeah.
Which I actually still do appreciate, even in the Netflix era, because if you look at Netflix as a business model, you actually lose the sort of art of the cliffhanger a little bit. It's just sort of, they throw one at the end of the season, but all the other episodes melt together. Now, there's a lot of baggage that these characters have, but how much of that is going to be carried by the audience as they come into the show? If you've never seen the original, are you going to be like, I'm ready for this, or is the backstory required viewing at this point?
I think you can appreciate the show as a standalone, but if you've watched every episode from the original series 3 and 4 times, and a lot of fans have, there are a lot of Easter eggs, there are a lot of wink, wink, nudge, nudge moments, so it works on 2 levels.
What was the reception like when you guys announced this? Were people just... Have people been asking you this for ages, even though they knew your character was gone?
It was feverish. That's the word that comes to mind, in the best possible way. The show has never really gone off the air, even though it ended in 2009, but it's been alive on Netflix and various other venues. I have people coming up to me all the time who are watching the show like right now for the first time. So for them, it's present tense. So there was a real kind of appetite for it, and that's why we're doing it in the first place, because we knew that the audience was still there.
Do you notice a difference sort of in the audience reception of something like your work on Prison Break compared to your work in the CW DC universe, which also has its own insanely rabid fan base?
Yeah, I appreciated that just on a personal, professional level, being able to play a character like Captain Cold, because I think it's quite possible, because Prison Break was so successful, I could have gone on and played 10 other roles on 10 other shows, and I would have still been Michael Scofield to a lot of people. Playing Captain Cold on The Flash and Legends of Tomorrow moved that needle for the first time.
Yeah, I love that. It's such the motley crew of incredible actors compared to character actors and folks everyone recognizes, brand new voices that those CW shows have gathered is something sort of special and I think unique. In TV.
It's the most fun I've had as an actor playing that particular part. As much respect as I have for Michael Scofield, there's a lot of kind of expositional, heavy lifting involved in that part, and Captain Cold is just a good time.
Yeah, he's not a good dude.
So, when is Prison Break back from the dead?
Last I heard was March 2017.
That's kind of a long time.
That's a while. Yeah.
What are we gonna do till
then?
then?
Hoping for next week, right now.
It's right now. He pulls out a laptop.
We all go run and watch it together. Like, this is great, and we just hang out forever like friends. Thank you.
Yeah, weird fantasy, dude.
Yeah. Well, I watched a lot of Prison Break. Wentworth, thank you so much for coming up today, man.
It's my pleasure.
This is a great time, and best of luck with the new show. I will be watching it. I will be consuming it, and Prison Break forever.
Awesome. Thank you.
IGN Live, San Diego Comic-Con. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned. There's plenty more to come.
IGN Live at Comic-Con is presented by Batman The Telltale Series. Episode 1 available to download August 2nd.
Good evening. How's the crime party going?
It's going really well.
I'm proud of you. Fist bump.
Oh.
I'm out.
You must show the world the true nature of a Wayne. Don't let tombstones be your family legacy. There is room for Bruce and Batman inside that suit. Whatever Falcone is planning, it ends tonight.
Guys, it is Wentworth Miller, and he is alive in the flesh, and I am shocked to hear it because last I heard, you were dead. What can you tell me about that?
My character.
No, the whole thing. In my dream world, you were dead, you were gone, but now you're back, and I'm so happy to see it.
Thank you.
What spoilers can you give us? I know not too many, but we do see you, so it's safe to say you are alive.
When the original series ended, my character died twice. When the new one picks up, everyone else has moved on. Sarah, she's raising our child together. My brother has moved on with his life to the best of his abilities, and then it turns out that I am actually alive and in a prison in Yemen.
I gotta tell you, when I talked to Sarah, she was actually maybe a little upset with you because she's not sure where you've been this whole time, and if you were alive, why wouldn't you come and be with her and your child?
These are great questions, all of which we try to answer in these 9 episodes.
Okay. Do you feel like there's been a character swap a little bit with you and your brother? Because, of course, when we start the original Prison Break, he's the one that you need to go and try to figure out how to deal with, and now he's got to figure out how to deal with you.
Yeah, there is a reversal, and my character is different than when we last saw him. He's been away for 7 years. He's been walking a very dark road. He's been up to some dark things, and there's a question as to whether or not he's still the same man, if we can actually call him a hero anymore.
You guys worked together in a very different capacity in the DC universe recently. How would that relationship affect your guys' relationship on this show? Are you guys closer now than ever? Are you more buddy-buddy, or
You're talking about personally?
Yeah.
We're like brothers, and we have been for a long time, me and Dom. So when we get together, there's just a built-in chemistry, and I think that informs any relationship that we're playing on screen for the better.
Even now, as you guys are walking down the red carpet, I see he's a little more goofy with his wobble, and you're a little more serious. Is that just kind of the yin to your yang?
Some days I'm goofy, and some days he's serious. Yeah, we trade off.
Okay, well, I cannot wait to see Prison Break. Thank you so much for talking to me. I really appreciate it.
One of the coolest things about seeing these guys this time around was I never felt there was a moment of going, hey, how are you? How you been all these years? It wasn't nostalgia. It was a bunch of actors telling a story right now. And how the hell are we going to do it to keep it fresh?
I think it resonates because of family, because of the bond between the brothers. And the simple idea that you are willing to do whatever it takes to save or help someone you love, I think that's universal, and I think it's something that everybody can relate to.
Dominic, I met at, I think it was a chemistry test at Fox, and I thought, well, we both have shaved heads, so we could sell that brother thing.
Wentworth, very private, very just a gentleman, and the most beautiful looking man I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
And I was like, hang on, I thought I was the stud on this show.
I think Dom might have growled at me, but you were really nice later. Like, it was like a first impression, which is like, hey, I'm Sarah. And Robert and I didn't work together in the first season, and so most of my first impressions with you were watching your work as the episodes came out, and I was just floored.
I figured that we would have to be true to the show's DNA, but once Paul Scheuring signed on to spearhead these 9 episodes, I thought, well, great, because he got the whole thing started. He has a very contemporary, topical, edgy point of view, and I wanted the show to be both, this is what you've loved all along, but also something radical and different and new.
These actors and these characters have changed over 6 years, and I got a promise from all of them that that was indeed going to be the case, that this was going to give, we were going to give you what you loved and knew from before, but we were going to go in a much deeper place, more mature, more brazen, and simpler.
Hey, it's Cheryl Lazar live from the Fox booth at Comic-Con in San Diego, and it's all about you guys, the fans. So share this video, like our page on Facebook, and keep those questions coming in the comments below because we've got the cast all together. This is a rare moment happening right here at Comic-Con, and of course the season coming up, 2017. The stars of Prison Break, everyone. Yes. That was the big intro. How's it going? This is your final thing at Comic-Con. So we said we'd end on a high note.
Yeah.
And we have a ton of fans watching. You have such an awesome, engaged audience. We already had some questions coming in before this. Of course, the show has been off since 2009, so it's coming back. It's a big deal for a lot of fans out there. So this one came in, and someone asked, what should we expect from season 5? Which is a big general question, but they want each of your take on it.
I think it's going to capture. Do I need to speak
yes,
in this? Okay.
It'd be good to speak in
I think it's going to capture the first season, many of the great things that people love about the first season, and yet it's epic. It's an adventure. It's everything that Prison Break has always been, and I think, but even more so because it's an event series. It's only 9 episodes, so I think we're really going to see the people because it's been 7 years and they've grown a little bit. But I think people are going to feel like they're coming home again as well when they see the new season.
Home to characters that they know and love for years, iconic characters, thanks to our writers. And like you said, a little bit of something new, a little more maturity, a little more growth, a little more gravitas, I think, with the characters.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think for the family, you know, for Sarah, for Michael, and in a way for Lincoln as well, we have, there's a new focal point, and that's our son. And so, you know, whereas before we had the sort of liberty to take certain risks and to live for each other, there's now this boy that needs to be taken care of, and that changes the dynamic substantially.
Yeah.
It's so noisy here that I have no idea what was just said, so I'm going to trust that
it's okay if you repeat
the right things are being said in the right way.
It's okay if you repeat it. They just want to hear it from your voice. We were just talking about the evolution going into this season, the storyline, but also you could talk about your character, what we're going to see from the new season.
I think fans can expect more of what they loved the first time around. There's themes of brotherhood and loyalty, family, sacrifice, but it's also very set in the here and now. Paul Scheuring's sensibility is topical, it's about current events, and it's meant to feel like this is happening out there in the world today.
Cool. Do you want to add to that? To be included
just
in
the fact that it's so fun that it's a reset after 7 years. So audiences, I think, feel like they know these characters and they've watched them and they know where they've gone. But now now it's a mystery, and now we're going to reset that 7 years later, and people have changed, and we don't know what to expect.
So we have a fan poll, actually, which I'm about to bring up. This, all right, which character would you rather have as a cellmate? We want to know from all of you watching live. Include your answers in the comments below and include a hashtag so we could bring up the results later in the show. I'm excited for that one. We have another question.
For like a whole bunch of reasons.
And I want to know why you'd want them as a cellmate. So we have this question that came in on social media. How different did it feel from filming the first 4 seasons to this season? Who wants to answer?
Who was there?
Very.
Yeah, obviously. We can be a bit more detailed with the answer, in terms of what for each of you stood out.
I think what is setting this new season apart for me is the canvas. In the original, the U.S. was our playground. Threat around every corner, and now the threat is global. It's an international story, and I think that's also a nod to the fact that we have a huge international fan base. So that's been meaningful to me.
Yeah, that's really cool. And we actually speaking, were you going to add to that?
I was going to say that I just feel like in the 4 years that we did it before, I felt like I was in a play. It was always evolving, and each episode, Teddy changed a little bit. Now this time around, I feel like I did that. We know what we did. We got the blueprint for it, and we were able to take off and stay in the same direction and move in a different, if you know what I mean. Stay and move at the same time. It's great.
And speaking of which, we actually have the poster from Comic-Con. You were speaking about the setting, the more global setting. You shot in both Vancouver, but Morocco is the backdrop. So this is it. What are we seeing here? The breakout return. Do any of you want to give some insights?
It's a view of Yemen.
It's beautiful. What was it like shooting in Morocco?
What was that like?
Yeah.
It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It was super challenging. We had, I think, 4 directors there, each trying to steal pieces of their various episodes. I'm so glad we went. I think it's going to give the show a look and a feel and a legitimacy that we could not recreate elsewhere.
Very cool. We actually have a video question from a fan, so let's take a look at that right now.
All right, I'm Taylor. I'm from San Diego, California. The question I have is, with the cast being gone for so long, how's it going to be getting them all back together?
There's a lot of work, effort. You want to start with, what was it like wrangling the team together?
The beauty of it is they all were really excited, I think, to come back and be part of this again. And I think the scheduling was probably the biggest headache, just making sure that they were all available and we could fit them in the windows. But the passion was there and everybody wanted to return, so exciting.
I mean, we're all on different shows, and I think there was a lot of goodwill on the part of everybody's studio to say, look, I understand that this is a show that put you on the map. This is a show that matters in your heart, and we will find a way of working around that. I mean, these guys wrapped Legends, I think, on a Friday. We started shooting on a Monday. I finished Prison Break on a Friday, started Colony on the Monday, but if there's enough will, anything can be made to work.
Also, you had to believe in the storyline and what was to come, right? I mean, if they pitched you something, you're like, oh, this doesn't make sense, I don't like this, I'm assuming you all wouldn't have done it. So it had to make sense.
Yeah, but there was also a lot of faith in Paul Scheuring and these writers that came on, Vaughn and Mike, because it wasn't, at least from my end, it wasn't like, oh wait, show me what you got first and then let me decide. It's like, you're Paul Scheuring, I trust you, let's do it.
Cool. We have a segment called Explain Your Posts. So explain your posts. So social media, it's interesting, because in 2009, when you guys were on the air, like back then, social media wasn't the same as it is now. And we saw a lot of fun pictures that you guys posted from set. So we're going to take a look at some of those, and you're going to explain them. What was going on? Any fun stories? All right, this is from you, Wentworth. Already missing these 2 hearts. A lot of hashtags.
Hashtag fatigue.
Was this after shooting, at the end of the day, or in between scenes?
This was in the middle of the day, on set, at the docks in Morocco, or rather in Vancouver.
And were you dirty because because you were part of an explosion? You guys were very dirty. Like a lot of.
That was us post prison. It's the dirtiest I've been as an actor.
Welcome to the new bar.
At least you've raised the bar for dirty, you know. All right, let's go to the next one from you, Sarah. People can be such dummies. This is cute.
Why, thank you. I was hoping that was witty. Did I get there?
Actually
got it. Yeah, you got it all offended first. What did she say? That was, we were shooting in a decommissioned insane asylum, and that was outside, which is a really legitimately frightening place to be, and that was just our wardrobe trailer, and they had a couple of guys lounging there, and they looked like they were having a good time, so I thought I'd make them a part of the family.
It'd be creepy if you bumped into those at night, right? I was like wondering if that was your stand-in. Do you guys have stand-ins like for the really intense scenes?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but they're not stuffed with cotton. They're like, because they can't stand, right?
Yeah,
so that would be a
okay,
tricky.
And they're not dumb either.
Sit-in.
Well, you guys are great. It's been so great having you here, and the fans who are watching on Facebook Live are so excited. Remember that the new season is coming up in 2017. The date is not there yet, but stay tuned right here, I'm sure, on all your social media and right here on facebook.com/FoxTV for that. And now, this is a big deal. We have an exclusive clip that is only here for all of you watching on Facebook Live. So let's take a look at that right now, and thank you guys so much for coming, and we'll be back with the results from our fan poll after this.
I don't think I've seen you this scared before.
They say for Ramadan, as an act of forgiveness, they're going to release all prisoners from solitary over there back into general population. Worst of the worst. ISIL fanatics. Abu Ramal. They're going to kill me, you know. Government gave me 20 years for homosexuality. But the monsters in there, Ramal and his men, won't let me live 20 minutes. Please tell me, you still plan on getting us out of here?
You were responsible for killing the lights, and then your Sheik of Light went missing at exactly the wrong time.
I don't know what happened to him. Maybe I can find another way.
There is something you can do. Piece of that gum.
This gum is like gold.
I need it. You went out of this place, I need it.
Piece of gum is going to get us out of prison.
I'll start the process.
Sometimes, my friend, I can't tell which is bigger, your plans or your lies.
Oh, I take that personally, you calling me a liar. But I'm gonna show you, just like the butterfly's wings. This piece of gum is gonna start a sequence of events that will finish on the other side of the world.
That was so cool, and that exclusive clip was just for you who are watching right here on Facebook Live, and exclusive, and it was so cool having some of the cast back together again right here at Comic-Con. Wentworth was awesome, and he was very friendly, so that was so much fun. I hope you guys enjoyed that as well. At the beginning of this live show, we asked you a fan poll, which character would you rather have as a cellmate, and you guys answered, so let's see the results. Okay. This is at number 1, Teabag at number 2, number 3, Michael, okay, and Sarah at number 4. Interesting. Thanks for all of your awesome responses and for tuning in and your questions and everything. Remember, we're going to be back live right here on facebook.com/FoxTV with the cast of 24 Legacy in just a bit, so stay tuned, share this video, like our page on Facebook. Bye.
How
are you balancing the two shows, actually?
Well, this
the
time,
Berlanti universe.
Yeah, in the Berlanti universe, I'm now kind of recurring on The Flash and Legends, which means a lighter schedule, but it also means that I get to play in multiple universes, and we were just able to fit these 9 episodes into our these 9 episodes of Prison Break into our hiatus.
So here's the thing: is Michael holding any grudges because he's been alive this whole time and no one came to find him?
I don't think he intended for anyone to come to find him, and we find out why in the course of these 9 episodes. His whole objective is to get back home to his wife and child, but the question is, when he does get home, will he be recognizable? Has he changed so much that he's no longer the man that Sarah knew and fell in love with?
Okay, tell me what it was like the first day back on set with some of the original gang.
My first day back on set, I was behind bars. Dominic was on the other side of the grill, just like old times, and it was like riding a bike. Like, it all came back, and that was good news for me, because going right from Legends to Prison Break, there was no time to watch all 81 episodes of the original series. So I just had to trust that Michael Scofield was in me somewhere, and he was.
Lastly then, tell me about sort of the new audience that's discovered the show through Netflix. You're getting teenagers coming up to you now?
Yeah, the show went off the air in 2009, but really it kind of feels like we never went away. And I meet fans every day who are watching the show for the first time now, and for them it's like it's still airing, it's present tense. And they are the reason why we are doing this show. They and the original fans, to give them something to enjoy, a new chapter.
So how does it feel to be Michael again?
A bit like riding a bike. I didn't have any time in between Legends and the start of the production of Prison Break to go back and watch all 81 episodes of the original series, so I just had to trust that Michael Scofield was in me somewhere, and it turns out he was.
What was it like the first day? When you did the first time you guys worked together again?
The first day was hectic, as all first days are. It was a prison set, a lot of extras, 3 different cameras swirling around, and I was on one side of prison bars, of course, and Dominic was on the other, and that served me, because all I had to do was look into his eyes, hear his voice, and it anchored me in this relationship, as it has all these years.
Narratively, does it kind of capture that same tone of the series, or is this something you see as kind of standing alone, since it's a limited series?
Well, I think it can stand alone in terms of you can potentially appreciate it without having seen the original, but it's meant to feel like a continuation. I mean, it's the same in terms of themes of brotherhood and sacrifice and family and loyalty, all the stuff that the fans, I think, appreciated the first time around. But it's also meant to feel very present day, like the action could be happening out there in the world right now.
How's the fandom different? Because you did, assuming you were here for yesterday as well, the different kind of crowd, Prison Break and Flash.
I wasn't doing the Flash Legends panel stuff yesterday. I was doing interviews for Prison Break, but I think there is an overlap, at least in my mind, as far as the characters on a show like Legends and the characters on a show like Prison Break. Prison Break has always had, I think, a certain comic book quality to it. We can get away with things that you wouldn't necessarily be able to get away with on Batman, for example. And I think that Michael Scofield in particular does have a superhero facet to him, that he's able to endure what the next man might not be able to endure, and at the same time is still human and relatable. And that's the same quality I try to bring to my portrayal of Captain Cold. He has this superhero facet as well, but he's still recognizably a human being.
how did you approach the role this time, knowing that over the years Prison Break has gained a cult status?
That awareness did not change for me. If anything, it just set the bar higher as far as the quality of work expected. This was not about economics. This was about giving the fans something that would stand alongside what came before. If it was not a story that was worth telling, if this was going to feel like diminishing returns, then I would not have been interested in participating.
And this reunion is a one-time thing, or do you think we're going to see more too?
We'll see. Like I said, it depends on if there is more to the story and if it's worth telling. If it's something that the fans are going to be able to enjoy and sink their teeth into, then we'll do it. But if it's not worth doing, then we won't.
So Michael's alive. What can you say about what he's been up to?
He's been walking a very dark road. He's always been a good man pursuing a good cause, and willing to get his hands dirty, but his hands are now quite filthy. And his sole objective in these 9 episodes is to get back home to his wife and his child. But when he gets there, the question is, will he be recognizable? Will he still be in any way, shape, or form the man that Sarah once knew?
Sarah mentioned because of Netflix, it still feels like it's a current show. Do you share that same?
I do. I meet fans every day who are watching the show right now. For them, it's present tense. It's like it's still airing.
What do you think about Prison Break has made it so timeless that people want to start it for the first time or keep watching it again?
I think there are any number of answers, universal themes that people vibe with no matter what the language or culture. I think there's the government conspiracy hook, there's the prison hook, and I think the show kind of mastered that hook in the mouth, stay tuned, see what happens next week kind of tease element. I feel for the fans because they're not going to be able to download all 9 episodes and watch them all at once. They're going to have to wait week to week to week, and that might require great patience.
Can you talk a little bit about the partnership with Dominic? Do you guys ever, oh my god, you again?
I think there's a real respect there. Dominic feels like a brother at this point, somewhere in the original 81 episodes. Pretending that he was my brother, day after day after day, he became my brother. And it's out of that relationship, and our continued relationship, personally and professionally, that this Prison Break reboot has come about.
What were your biggest reservations?
I wanted the story to be one worth telling, as I mentioned. I wanted to make sure that we got back as many of the original cast as possible, those who were still alive. And I even advocated on behalf of those who weren't. I thought, well, maybe there's a dream sequence where Michael talks to Bellick or Westmoreland. And I think that's one of the things that the fans can really look forward to is that reunion, seeing these old favorites on screen, interacting in new ways.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, okay.
What's up? That was amazing. That was like a chorus. I just want to do that again. Hey guys. Oh, that was less exciting. Okay.
First take's always the best.
First take's always the best.
So how is it getting back into this character after you've been away from it for a little while now?
It was an interesting process. I started archivally. You know, I rewatched seasons 1, 2, most of 4. I went back to my notes. I went back to old scripts and everything I'd written on them. And then I realized that it's 7 years later, and things change a lot in 7 years in a person's life. And when we left Sarah, she was neither a wife nor a mother, and she has been both of those things for every minute of the 7 years since we've seen her. So at a certain point, I wanted to really let her change and make sure that she was a different woman. Because she has to be, and I am. I'm a different person than I was 7 years ago. Hopefully, I'm a better actor, and so, you know, hopefully, I can improve on things a little bit.
So can you talk about where Sarah is? Because the last we saw her, she had lost Michael and she had a baby. So where's she at when this series opens?
Well, I think that the short version of the last 7 years of her life is that she went down a very, very dark hole of grieving. And I think it's probably a hole she wouldn't have come out of except that she had a son. And I think at a certain point she realized that her grief was a luxury her son could not afford. So she pulled herself together and decided to raise the shit out of him and decided that her devotion to her dead husband would be manifested by the love she poured into their son. And part of that included trying to give him a stable home, so she's remarried. And I think the way remarriages after a death of a spouse often happen, it's not, it's not like this is the love of her life. This is a man who's willing to take what she has left to give. And it's comfortable and friendly, and he's a wonderful guy. And everything's okay. And then, because it's Prison Break, then it isn't.
How did you react when you first heard that Prison Break will be, the next Prison Break will be happening?
I didn't believe it. I think actually very similarly to Sarah being told that Michael was alive, I thought it was impossible. And then once I was finally, it took about a month or two to convince me that it was serious. I think at that point, actually, there was a lot of emotion that came up because this project has been, we all owe a tremendous amount to it. Nobody knew who any of us were until Prison Break, and then they did. And so it was emotional to think about going back into that world.
So you went from zombies to aliens and now going back to here, no?
Yeah.
So what was the most exciting part about go back to this character that, like you say, was means so much?
There's a simplicity to Sarah's moral universe that I've always really respected and I love. There are things that move her towards what she believes is right, and then there's everything else that doesn't matter. And this is, I think all of the characters actually in this, well, for Lincoln, for Michael, and for Sarah, the moral universe is a simple one. It doesn't matter how hard something is, it doesn't matter what it costs you. What matters is it the right thing to do? And that's beautiful to play. It's so simple. I love it. I really do. I love it. And, because Laurie Grimes' universe is so morally complex and there are so many shades of gray, because the universe in which she lives is an insane, complicated moral universe. And the same thing for Katie. It's difficult. The colony world is a world where there's so much deceit and lies because of the oppressive nature of the government. It's really great to just keep it back to simple,
So this is a one-time thing, or Prison Break is back?
I don't know. This was pitched to me as 9 episodes, drop the mic, walk away. This is what we're doing. There are always rumors about other things. I'm treating this as the last go around. But then again, I've said that before. I'm not in charge of that. So if you hear anything, let me know.
What's the dynamic like between Sarah and Lincoln now that these 7 years have passed?
Sarah and Lincoln were kind of all each other had, I think, for years, and especially for the years that we were still kind of on the run, living in Panama, living off the radar. I imagine that for years he was really the one that helped her with her son, and yet I think eventually he went off on his own, and Lincoln seems to be allergic to happiness sometimes, and so he found a way of getting himself back into trouble. But I think there's a lot of love and a lot of trust between the two of them, partly because there aren't that many people alive who know the story. It's kind of just the two of them. interesting. I mean, of people that stop me on the street, 1 out of every 2 is talking about Prison Break, and 1 out of every 2 is talking about Walking Dead or another project. I mean, it's the durability of the show has really surprised me. I get a lot of people who tell me they just watched it, and that's the amazing thing about our crazy digital age right now. Is a show that's been off the air for 7 years is still a current show, thanks to Netflix and Blu-rays and DVDs and things like that. So it's never been far from my consciousness and my experience because people are always talking to me about it. And like I said, I have such a huge amount of gratitude to the show because Frank Darabont saw Prison Break and liked me in Prison Break, so he brought me in for Walking Dead. And Carlton Cuse saw Walking Dead and brought me in for, you know what I mean? Like everything stemmed from that. And so I guess it's always kind of a part of my consciousness. Are we good? No? Anything else?
Over the years, Prison Break evolved to a cult show. That's basically what you just said. So does this add to the pressure that you feel,
Does it what?
Adds to the pressure, you feel coming back.
It's amazing. I mean, and the Prison Break fans have given us so much of their loyalty and their love and their devotion that I definitely come out of that wanting to make sure that whatever we create for them for another season deserves that affection. And we're working hard on that. I think we've done it. I hope so. Like I wouldn't be here if I didn't think so. So.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thanks, y'all.